Hello everyone. There are a lot of bargain PC videos out there which talk about making a gaming PC for some price like $50 or $100. My argument with those videos is that I don't think it paints the full picture. There are some elements missing. For instance, they won't talk about how much it costs to get a keyboard and mouse. A lot of times they won't include the monitor, they won't include the cost of Windows. Another complaint that I have is that there are some special circumstances. For instance, sometimes they say, oh, I had the case laying around, or I got this case for free and I built the computer in it. And lastly, they don't talk realistically about how available the components would be in a natural setting. So to anyone watching that video who wants to recreate the process, it's really difficult because it's very rare that those elements line up for them. So I decided to go ahead and build a computer that was all-encompassing. Monitor, case, keyboard, mouse, all of it. And I thought I'd do something a little different. As far as the availability goes, I thought, what if we did it all from Goodwill? Minus the graphic card, because those aren't exactly kicking around there. So this whole setup is built from Goodwill, with the exception of the graphic card. So let's talk about what we have here. First off, the case itself is a Dell Inspiron 660. That comes with an Intel Core i5 processor, 2nd gen if I'm not mistaken, running at 3.1. Next, it comes with a 300 watt power supply, which we'll talk about in a minute because that is very specific, a DVD drive, and that was it for the bare bone case. That case with those pieces was $40. So to that, we added two 4 gig sticks of RAM, $10 a pop, so that gets us 8 gigs for $20, and also a 500 gig hard drive for $10 as well. The graphic card that we're using is a GeForce GTX 1050 Ti. We're using that one for a couple reasons. One, I've always had good luck with that. Two, it does not require external power coming from the power supply in the computer, which is also required for this specific build because the minimum requirements for that graphic card is a 300 watt power supply, which is what comes stock with this computer. We're trying to keep our price low. We're not adding anything that we don't have to, so all of those elements lined up perfectly. So again, in this case, 300 watt power supply, DVD drive, 500 gig hard drive, and the GeForce GTX 1050 Ti, 8 gigs of RAM. The total cost for all of that, the case was $40, the hard drive was $10, the RAM was $20, and the graphic card was $120. Moving around to the front, we have a Lenovo keyboard, an off-brand mouse, HP, very generic speakers, each of those $5 a pop, and we also have a Dell monitor. The number for which is written on the back, I will include that in the description. But this monitor was $20, and I think it's 1080p too, if I'm not mistaken. All together, all the parts, we're at $225. That's for everything. And if you're curious about Windows, we do have Windows 10 installed on here, but it is not activated. So when you are outside of the game, you're going to see Activate Windows in the bottom right-hand corner, but it does not affect gameplay. Speaking of gameplay, what can this computer do? Well, we're running Afterburner. You can see that up in the top left corner. And we are running Wolfenstein, The New Order. By the way, we're also running this on high settings. So let's see what this can do. Usually I would head down here, tactful, but we are going to see what happens when we pull everyone, when we really try to strain it. Just in the gameplay without much going on, our GPU is running around 50 and 60%. It just crossed over 61 for a GPU. The RAM is only running at about half. Right now we're holding 60 frames per second. If you're curious about bottlenecks, that would be our CPU. It's bouncing back and forth between 61 and 73, 75. We're going to see what happens though as we go in, what happens when we pull some mobs and really test it here. And if you're wondering why I'm not doing this with an Elgato or something like that, it's because I don't have one. And I really hate those drones. I can hear them revving up. It's actually not bad. It feels pretty smooth. If you're watching what's going on... Oh. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask. The CPU is going up into the 90%, but it's not maxing out. Again, if we have any bottleneck issues, that's where it's going to be. But it hasn't really happened yet. Getting close, but has not happened yet. Alright, we just cleared that area. So right now GPU is running in the 40s, CPU is high 80s, RAM's at about half, holding 60 frames per second. That's not bad. This game is, what, 3-4 years old now probably? Time flies. But it's holding strong, and that's not bad for a build which totaled $225 for everything. Oh, and just so you know I'm not lying, here we are. Options, video, advanced options, there are your high settings. So I'm curious what else this is going to do. I'm going to try to test Doom on here, see what that looks like. But anyway, this is it. $225 in total, running Wolfenstein: The New Order, everything with the exception of the graphic card, coming from Goodwill. Thank you all very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm going to try to do some other builds. If you like this one, I will upload them too. There we have it. Thanks again. Have a good one.